Hello and welcome to another episode of Literary Gladiators, the show where we discuss and debate literature in all of its forms. If it's written work, it's game. Let's meet the panel.
Hi, I'm Casey.
Sara.
I'm Tori.
And I'm Josh. And Sara, we want to welcome you back to our panel.
Thank you.
For the first time in Season 9. Tori, it's been a few weeks since you've been on the panel.
It's been a bit.
But I don't know why, but I've missed having you on the panel.
I don't know why. Well, it's great to be back. Why thank you.
Okay. Quite something, hubby. I don't know why is the first thing you thought of.
I digress.
Alrighty then. We are going to be going over a play, the one play for Season 9. It is a play written by Friedrich Durrenmatt, and he is a Swiss playwright, writer, essayist. He holds plenty of hats, and while he does not consider himself as such and would not want us to consider him as such, he is a very strong component to the theater of the absurd. And the play that we're going over from him is The Visit, which is perhaps the one that people know the most about on a global level. And we're going to have a lot to say about it. But the discussion starter that I have is, what aspect of human nature that is depicted within this play do you feel has the greatest, longest-lasting impact to those of Gulizia? And in what way does this reflect on society in general?
Well, a certain aspect, not talked about directly in the play, but there was a lot of materialism and
Absolutely.
superficial.
The material values
Yeah.
from both the citizens and the media. I have 8 of them listed. There is, and from each of the major characters. There's guilt from Alfred Hill, revenge from Claire Zakanassian, which she's probably going to want me to say her complete name as she's billed, because the more time we spend on giving her attention, the greater it boosts her ego. Material values from citizens and media, paranoia from Ill, manipulation with money from Claire, sexual desire from Ill in his youth and from Claire's husbands, because who in the world would want to marry someone like her? Especially 3 times in one aspect. Reputation from the established citizens, and the need to control from the media.
There's a lot to,
Yes.
There's so many different things to talk about. If you
And
break
there's
it
a
into all
lot.
of those.
I would say one of the things I noticed from the moment she exposed him in front of everyone to the very end, he never apologized.
That's exactly
And
what...
I was upset because I was waiting for it.
That's exactly one of the...
I think that's the toughest pill to
Look at the
swallow
first
through the
statement
entire
on here.
thing. Yeah.
The first one, why in the world did Claire and...
The underlying statement.
Oh, why did Il not apologize? Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, he first goes, oh, that was a long time ago, let it go. And then when he saw everyone buying stuff on credit, he started getting offended. And like, oh, I can't believe you guys are hurting me. And it's like...
Yeah, he
but
went
you
to the
know
victim
you-
role instead of
First-
actually realizing
First he
error in his ways.
First he pretends it never happened. He goes back to when things were good and calls her Black Panther and Black Sorceress, and he asks if she remembers her nickname that she gave him, and even when she made note to the fact that she was going to offer Gulin $1 billion for his head, he still goes, approaches her as if nothing's ever happened, and then tries to reconcile, but
But he never
He
said...
doesn't go the full...
He never
No,
said,
yeah.
I was wrong. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, he did a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's done on
Yeah.
purpose to kind of highlight like that behavior is still prevalent, and we kind of still
Today, yeah.
still see
Yeah,
that in the
still
media,
does.
especially. We see that kind of behavior where you have somebody who's more often than not caught in the act, who's a male, who realizes what he did was wrong, but will not admit it. Will not come forth and say like, okay, yes, I'm sorry, and not even utter the words "I'm sorry" or apologize in any way, shape, or form, because they try to find all these different ways to dance around
go
it, like you
around.
said, like we highlighted.
And there's
So-
plenty of people that do what he did, where he impregnates a woman and then jilts her.
Yeah, that's not an uncommon story.
Yeah.
That's like through the annals of time, that kind of stuff.
But in this case, he
happened.
places it on two men that are now known as Kobe and Lobi. Offers them a quart of schnapps in order as bribery to make it so that they were the ones that impregnated her. I don't know if, in a way, I guess two people could do that. Only one of them would really, unless they're twins.
All right, let's not get into like
But
the semantics of this.
But-
But like, we don't need to break it down to
Otherwise-
brass tacks.
the whole idea that he was able to go off with another woman, start a family, and open up a general store, while Claire was forced into prostitution. And she, in a way, took the route of she found somebody like an Aristotle Onassis or whomever Anna Nicole Smith married. was able to get something out of them.
Yeah.
Was able to build her the Armenian oil company owner, and then just constantly build herself up so that she was desirable for that reason.
Right. I couldn't find a very good quality recording of the play anywhere, but I know for all of her husbands, I think she's on her 9th, or something. By the end of the play, they use the same actor for
Yeah,
all the
that's
husbands,
exactly
which is
the
comical.
So that's funny.
It is quite something. That's an interesting thing. Is this is written? It's written to be performed and not to be read. Where the side characters, in particular, the first, the second, the third, and the fourth man, they'll take on various roles within the play. They'll even be trees and aspects of nature, if need be. The chairs are arranged like a car, so you know that it's being performed on a stage as opposed to.
Makes it accessible.
Yeah, you use the rest. The rest is up to your imagination, and then
I think by stripping away that, the ostentatious, like, large crowds of people and large pieces of, like, set dressing, you kind of address the main issue, the main situation, which we previously stated is, taking responsibility for previous actions, and then kind of conversely, the, like, spitefulness of revenge. She knew exactly what she was doing. She knew the type of person that she was coming back to and saying that, take responsibility or I take your life.
Yeah.
Or, the town takes your life. And knew exactly, like, she knew exactly what she was doing.
Yeah.
in a way, we never get the idea that she asks him to take responsibility, but at the same time, it's implied. But at the same time, it's implied in the way that he never does take the responsibility.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
all those
He just says,
implications
"Let's
are-
forget about this," and
Yeah.
da da da.
Now, how bad did you feel for Il as he was about to get? Did you feel bad for him at all, or
In a
A little
way,
bit. I mean,
what I feel the
human, like,
No.
humanly, the
Like,
microscopically, like, oh.
No, because like I said, I was reading, waiting for an apology. That's why I was still. I read it in I never read a book in a day. I read it literally in a day because I was waiting for that. I'm sorry.
that moment?
I read it in a day, but not because of the apology. I read it in a day because I thought it was really engaging.
Well, yeah, and I think his guilt, I guess you can say, killed him. And they,
Oh, absolutely.
Because he could have easily
Absolutely.
taken that train
I
and
definitely saw her
left
as a
Coleman.
symbol of karma because,
Absolutely.
first of all, everyone knows when you do something bad, karma's coming back at you, but you don't know when. And so everyone knew she was coming, but they didn't know she was coming on the wrong train.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally liked her because I think everything she did on purpose. She
Oh,
took the train
everything
on
had a
purpose.
reason for it. Yeah.
She brought those people with her on purpose. She brought the Panther with her on, everything she did was on purpose. And I liked how, I wouldn't say use this to get someone back, but definitely if you're an entrepreneur, she had her plan, and then, because she said, they asked, why do you have a coffin? And she was like, you don't need to know that right now.
Well, imagine this,
But-
like, if it was flipped, if the roles were reversed, if that was a man in that position, you wouldn't have questioned it. There wouldn't be, like,
Right.
it was a man who came into the scene and, like, took control and who had multiple different wives and stuff like that, trophy wives. They all looked the same. Like, again, that's not something that's uncommon, but because of that flip of the script, you have a woman in that position who is calling the shots, showing that she can command the room, command the situation in that fashion at such an extreme level with that much money.
In this day and age, or in this
Yeah, in that time period.
in that time period,
Yeah,
that's especially
absolutely.
correct.
That's
Today it may be a little bit different.
I like how
Yeah.
prepared she was, though.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah, she crossed the T's
brought
and dotted
the-
the I's.
She,
She
brought
had
it saying,
everything.
I don't know who's going to kill this man, but I know I'm not leaving without him dead.
Exactly.
Like, she brought the she
Because she
I
knew.
think
had a
that-
plan.
She knew what she was
I would
doing.
say that she was a demon. I think she was demonic.
It was,
But-
I
It's
think
definitely
I think that the
demon.
villains. I don't think she was the key villain, but I think that the Gulen citizens
They're-
were.
I was just going to say, I think
because-
everybody, there's an
had his
interesting,
own-
yeah,
like
there's
no
this,
one was like
yeah,
I
this
think
fun
it was
play
great,
of gray,
yeah,
yeah,
no
this
one
fun
was
morale.
was his family.
That's not a word.
I think the funniest was his family because he's seeing all these outside people buy all this stuff,
Mm.
and he comes home and sees his
Yo,
family with all this stuff. And
yeah.
he's like, "What are you doing?"
I think the absolute best part was when they were voting on the. They were voting on the. They were voting on whether or not they were going to kill him, and they were unanimous. And he goes, "My God!" And the camera stops.
Mm-hmm.
And so they said they have to do it over again, and they vote over again, and he doesn't do anything. And the cameraman's telling him, "Come on, that my God was made for such good television
TV, yeah.
that
Yeah.
why don't you do it again?" Which,
Come on, you just got told that you had the death sentence placed upon you unanimously. Please give me a better
Another
response.
one.
Just
One
another
more.
one, yeah.
That's the way the media is. They want
Exactly.
that. They're into that. The fact that the three men raising the flag up at Iwo Jima is a representation of the battle itself, and the fact that the homecoming during World War II is all about the man in the sailor suit flipping over his flipping back
Kissing the
his
random stranger,
yeah,
yeah.
kissing the
It's
random
something
who was
that can be
allegedly a dental
sensationalized.
assistant.
Yeah, it's something that can be sensationalized. It's something that can be drawn out for, a couple extra sources of...
That's the media's
Idle
looking
chit-chat.
for. They're looking for that picture that speaks 1,000 words,
Yeah.
but at the same time, are those 1,000 words authentic?
That's a good question, yeah.
Because in a way they could be, but that doesn't represent the whole greater
Picture.
realm of a situation.
Yeah.
But this was just filled with amazing. I think that the way that the different characters were developed to represent the flaws of humanity and their need for materialism and money, and can you really turn down $1 billion for the head of one, in many cases, a random person? Even though Il had a great deal of he had a great deal of respect for the from the town. He was going to be the next mayor, but what was his death going to do for if it meant helping all of them out?
Yeah, like would you
Few for
sacrifice
the many.
one for yeah.
Well, I think it's funny because everyone wanted him dead, but no one wanted to be the one to kill him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they were buying
That's
on credit.
terrible.
Yeah, they
Like,
all
we
just
know
had-
someone's going to kill him, but it's not
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, right? Yeah, that was interesting. So I think that everything else in there was an interesting commentary, and how it still kind of fits contemporarily. Like,
Absolutely.
it's
Yeah.
still like a lot of that stuff is like
Mhm.
stuff that you can see
Still
done.
today.
Like you can
And
make
even
it.
if it's not physical murder that makes somebody dead, it's character assassination that drives somebody to the point that they might as well.
They're still an accessory no matter
You
what.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the by not doing anything, the vote, they do something by pushing and making that inevitable end happen.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Do you think the people were actually crowding in on him when he was going on the train, or was it just all in his head?
I think if you're seeing it played out, they would be crowding him in just because the people need the visual image. But that would be interesting. That I think they were probably surrounding him, but whether or not they were crowding him, that's good food for thought.
There was so much exaggeration in the play, like, that was just accepted as, like, the norm in reality. So, like, every time more stuff like that happened, like, oh yeah, the Panther's out now, it's just like, yeah, okay, whatever.
In actuality, Gulen is a fictional town that Friedrich Durrenmatt intentionally named because it is a Swiss term for excrement.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's fun.
So
I didn't know that.
it was interesting how he. That's his depiction for society as a whole, and
Yeah, that's a nice little comment in and of itself.
there are a great deal of flaws. In essence, they're crappy.
Well, that explains, because when you first open up, they mention how poor they are and how no one can get ahead. So maybe that's probably why you can't do that.
Not necessarily the fact that they're poor as far as wealth is concerned, but their attitude toward how to improve and succeed is full of excrement.
Right.
Per se.
It's not the best.
Yeah.
They have some work.
So.
Yeah.
I will say, when I was done reading it, I said if I had to care, I would really want to produce the show. Because I think it's something we all need to see again.
I agree. I think that it should make a break in America, and I definitely feel that people need to study it more in classes, whether it be high school or college. Never took a lot of theater or drama classes. I did take the Shakespeare plays, and there were some plays incorporated, but never to the extent of this.
I think this would have been, I should say, nicer to read in school than try to understand Old English.
Yeah.
I've read more dense works, so I think this was relatively easy to understand. It was very right there. Then many of the characters spoke. The four men always spoke in a lyrical kind of way, and Kobe and Lobi just kept repeating the same statement twice. So.
And eventually the townspeople were too. It's just like everything was just thrown right in front of you. Even the plot, everything was layered so much, in the plot, but the overview of the plot was just very easy to follow.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty then, do we have any final thoughts?
It's an engaging play, and it's one that I, like you said, should resurface and gain more popularity again.
Mm-hmm.
I think it kind of resonates. Unfortunately, there's a lot of it that you can say, oh, wait, no, that sounds like stuff from today. So there's lessons to be gleaned from that. So
I thought about a lot of current events after reading this.
Unfortunately.
So, how would we rate this on a 0 to 5 scale with half stars permitted? Casey?
I give it a 5.
I'd say 4.5.
I'd give it a 4.
I give it a 4.5 as well. I was really contemplating whether or not I'd give it a 4.5 or a 5, but I think that that half star was very much dependent on, like Casey said, Ill's apology and how it didn't take surface.
Well, I like how I like this because a lot of times we try to seek revenge, and the ending tells me that you don't have to. Things will happen on their own. And it did.
Yeah, she just
no
had to
one
follow
had
motion.
to do anything.
Yeah.
She was the puppet. She was the the puppeteer
There you go.
pulling the strings,
And then, like, it wasn't really...
and on the ends were money.
Yeah.
Like they were little bits of bait.
It didn't all that much come to a conclusion. Just, everything is going to continue on in the town now. Like, Il died, but then everyone's like, okay, we got him.
I guess we have the money now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a lot of cases, because there weren't, aside from Il's family, who else was there that was really gonna care?
They didn't even seem to care at one point.
No.
Oh, that's
But
what I was like,
she-
oh my gosh, this is really good.
Her tennis lessons and the car.
They had a bit of a plot device in their blood. But
Yeah,
A little bit.
once they...
was-
I mean, I think it was also because when you first meet this guy, everyone loves him. He's 100% perfect. He never made a mistake. And so now they themselves are saying, wow, he's not what we thought he was.
Mhm.
And so they're like, oh, well, whatever.
But at the same time, that was something from his past,
Right.
and
But I think they all noticed, too, that he was offended, but he wasn't apologizing.
yeah,
And he was
That's-
admitting that it
that
was
was
wrong
the-
that he did it. And it wasn't so much... And I mean, you can't say he forced his friends to lie in court. But the fact that you ask someone to do some perjury, which is
Yeah,
illegal,
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
just to destroy someone's reputation,
and
you
to bribe
can't
him.
even say sorry.
and to bribe him with alcohol.
Yeah.
Right.
The same.
So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I the only reason why I felt bad was, like I said, he never took the time to apologize.
Yeah.
And that's today. A lot
Yeah,
of people won't just say,
absolutely.
I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we keep on having this iteration of, somebody seems like a person on the up and up. Some terrible thing is brought up from their past, and it depends on how they respond to it. That really shows their type of character, and that's what made Il show. Like, all right, his fate is already sealed because he's not apologizing.
Right.
So it's kind of like the deed was already done. So
Yeah.
Reminds me of Mario Batali during the Me Too movement, which has really made its mark. And when Mario Batali was being accused of the various things that he did involving harassment and even to the point of rape, the way he responds, instead of with an apology, is with a recipe.
No.
He actually posted some recipe for some pizza buns on his website.
I mean, pizza does make everything better, but I don't
But-
think in that way.
No, it
Not
doesn't.
that doesn't.
Not in that way. That's,
No.
I think that's
But
one instance.
I think the connection is the fact that he did not apologize. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was no.
Trying to find a way around
Trying to
the
find
entire
a-
situation.
But.
Yeah.
And make people think of pizza instead.
Mm-hmm. But if you are interested in checking out the visit, there are individual collections, but
It's wonderful.
the Friedrich Durrenmatt Selected Writings Volume 1 plays from University of Chicago Press. Several months ago, I took advantage of their book sale, where many of the books were over 50% off. This collection includes 5 of his plays: The Visit, a tragicomedy; The Physicists, a comedy in 2 acts; Romulus the Great, a historical comedy in 4 acts; Hercules and the Augean Stables, a comedy; and The Marriage of Mr. Mississippi.
He wrote some wild stuff.
He wrote some other things too, but a lot of them didn't get translated from the original German. And this version was translated by Joel Agee. So, thank you for tuning in to this discussion about The Visit, and I hope you join us next time for another episode of Literary Gladiators. For now, keep reading.